all the global market action. But how will those cues impact us here in the Indian markets? We do have our research team joining in with what the trade setup looks like. We have Ekta, Vahishta, as well as Nigel. Good morning, guys. Let's go to Ekta first. Ekta, it is November series expiry today. We have a lot of global cues. What are your thoughts?
Well, yes, Mangalam, thanks very much for that, and morning to you as well as the entire team. Well, the Sensex and the Nifty did fall from highs in the last hour to close flat in yesterday's trading session. But like you mentioned, the big Q is definitely going to be the November expiry today. But talking about what the markets are probably going to work with in terms of global cues, we have the US Fed minutes where the officials see slowing rate hikes soon. So that's definitely a positive. The initial jobless claims in the week ended November, also November 19th in the US, also rose on a week-on-week basis. So maybe the street will probably perceive that as maybe an economic indicator saying that the rate hikes is working. Asia is largely higher at this point in time, and so is the SGX. The other big positive for us is that Brent crude has slid further, so it slipped below $85 per barrel on Russian price cap talks. Now, there is that Thanksgiving holiday in the US, so we expect lower participation in today's trading session as well as possibly tomorrow's trading session. But overall, for our markets, I would watch for the momentum in the financials continuing, considering that the Nifty Bank posted a record close. PSU banks are continuing to see a lot of momentum. And just watch out for what the institutions are doing, because they've net sold this week to the tune of over 750 orders.
Right. Seems like a bit of an audio issue with Ekta out there, but we get the gist of what she's trying to say. The November series expiry will be extremely crucial. Also, we'll be watching out for the reaction coming into the US Fed minutes, because global markets are by and large taking it positively. But in terms of individual stocks, let's go across to Vahishta. Vahishta, what are the stocks on your radar this morning?
Hi, Mangalam. Let me start with Biocon. Has issued a commercial papers of 2,250 crore rupees. Moving on, Fusion Microfinance. They'll be having a board meeting on the 28th of November to raise 145 crores via the NCD route. SBI Cards has seen the resignation of their chief risk officer, and the last working day will be towards the mid of February 2023. HG Infra Engineering has received a letter from Adani Road Transport for one of the projects in Uttar Pradesh, and this is to execute the civil and associated works on an EPC basis for the development of a road project under the public-private partnership basis. Canfin Homes will also be having a board meeting on the 28th of November to consider a proposal for payment of interim dividend for FY23. And the last is Keystone Realtors, which will be having their market debut today.
All right. Thanks a lot for that. And Nigel, it is November series expiry. FIIs continue to write a lot of calls.
Well, that's right, Mangalam. That's going to put a bit of a bit of a fight at higher levels. But in terms of the action and the cues that we got, well, the institutions were mild net sellers in trade yesterday. The longs continue to get added. So on the index futures itself, the ratio was close to around 3:2 odd in terms of the number of longs that were added versus the shorts, and they continue to remain net long on the index. And I tell you what, some part of the street or the bullish sentiment will be missing out some shorts in the system. Otherwise, I'm guessing we could have easily been above that 18,400 odd mark. Now, they're buying both calls as well as puts. For yesterday, they bought more calls than puts. But the problem is they're writing calls very, very aggressively. Even yesterday, they wrote close to around 42,000 call contracts out, telling you at higher levels, we're likely to see some bit of resistance. And take a look at a couple of strikes, 18,300, 18,350. Between both these two, the total open interest is 2 crore, because 18,300 is around 1.4, and you put the 61 lakhs in there as well. So that's closer to 2 crores. So telling you that the bears, they want to defend that level, and we're likely to start off closer to that level. So it's going to be very interesting, because the range we have, close to around 18,200 to around 18,400. And I say this because a short straddle could be in the works at around 18,300. That's you pocket 100 rupees premium and you play for a range on either which side. So that's the broad range that we're seeing. On the downside, though, support, because we saw some writing at around 18,300 put. I'm thinking that around 18,230, 18,240, that's a bit of a support zone. We're going to be starting off closer to around resistance. So that's going to be very, very important. The trade for the last few days is don't chase the opening. And I think that's likely to play out yet again. Look to buy the dip and hope that we can get past that 18,300 250 hump pod. SGX Nifty suggesting we're going to be off the blocks in style. Back to you.
All right, Nigel, thanks a lot for that. In fact, on that note, we'll thank Ekta, Vahishta as well as Nigel for setting us up for trade this morning. And with that, we'll take our first short break on the show. Come back on the other side, we'll get you the big takeaways from the industry leaders speaking at the SBI Banking and Economics Conclave.